There's a cue.
All right. Call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Bob Wilkerson,
Here.
Jeff Carey,
Here.
Mike Hill,
Here.
Will Harris,
Here.
Randy Lewis,
Here.
and Brad Carlberg is excused.
Okay. Approval of the minutes. Everyone had a chance to review the December meeting minutes. Okay, does anyone have any?
I have one question.
Okay,
Did we just adjourn and not have any more discussion after the public comment? I can't remember, but this seemed unusual for us not to have some comment.
I guess watch the video and see what we did.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes
Okay, it's been moved, second.
of December 16th.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Okay, anyone have any revisions to this agenda?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Who gets to do the motion this time?
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, does anyone have any conflicts of interest on anything on the agenda?
Nope. Nope.
Next meetings are going to be February 10th, special meeting, and February 24th, regular meeting.
Works for me.
Okay, does anyone have any updates, staff, commissioners?
Sorry, I was listening to stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you just talked about meeting updates, and that's actually one topic I wanted to talk about. So we had talked about last time having a special meeting on February 10th, but staff is suggesting we hold off on that until March. And this is because we were gonna have a February 10th. The material was going to be the intro to Parks and Rec, which is just a minimal chapter referencing. And then the real natural environment element. Staff is suggesting we wait to have the second meeting in March. So we can get a better real natural element, a more complete element, by the time that staff needs it from the consultant. So we're suggesting have our regular February 24th meeting. And then the option for March would be March 3rd for a special meeting, and then have our regular March 17th as well.
Okay. Any commissioner have any issues with that?
I don't have any. I think I make that work.
Okay, so we're gonna have a meeting on the 24th of February and then March 3rd.
I don't have any issues with the dates. I'm just concerned that we're pushing things to the right. You know, should we find ourselves in a position that an element isn't approved in a meeting, we're gonna have a very tight period of time to have it reworked, get it back to the board, go through appropriate public notification of whatever meeting that would be, and then obviously to receive public comment. And I'm very sensitive to the fact that in May, we owe the Board of County Commissioners a recommendation.
We're gonna definitely get into a crunch time.
Yeah, that's my only comment is every time we move something to the right, I understand there's a lot going on and we've discussed many of those before, but I'm just acknowledging that, you know, we may end up in more than 2 meetings a month here pretty quick.
So is it May or June?
What,
So
June?
we need a draft. We need a draft of the plan by June.
So you would like us to have our thing done by May?
Need a draft of the plan by June for the purposes of our grant.
Would that be June 1st or June 30th?
Well. It's probably gonna be at the beginning of June. So it's gonna be at the beginning of June. Because it's due to our to Commerce, the draft, by the end of June.
So you want our deliverable by May, sounds like. This group here.
A draft deliverable to Commerce by June, early June. We don't have to have the final adopted plan until December of this year.
Right, but
Yeah.
The,
We'll-
the draft, so the complete comprehensive plan will be a recommendation by the PAC. And then does that go to your staff, to planning, to be presented to the Board of Commissioners? And is Board of Commissioner concurrence, approval prior to going to Commerce required?
No,
Okay, so it comes, in essence, once the PAC says, okay, go to your staff and you'll work it to Commerce, deconflict, and then the Board of Commissioners will get on the backside for their approval.
I mean, we need a draft plan to Commerce in order to get the full funding, which they, they work in a biennium, so we had a 2023 and 2024 funding. But they extended our deadline to December of 24, December of 25. We have an additional 6 months, but we do not have the additional 6 months for the funding. So now Commerce we're revising the contract with Commerce in order to have a draft of all of the chapters to them by June. That means that we still will have time if there are chapters where you feel you want to address another element that you want to come back before you're comfortable giving your full recommendation to the board. And so staff and I, we can look at when do we want you to forward on to the board for their
Okay.
approval by
Okay.
December,
Good.
because we'll have to work with the board on, backdating December's on, time for them to get familiar with the elements, do our briefing, action agenda, etc. So we don't want to wait until November,
No,
but
No,
we're going
agreed.
to between June. Once we get the draft
Yeah.
to Commerce, we're still gonna have time here so that you guys feel
Okay.
comfortable that, hey, I wanna see the transportation element again. I'm not comfortable with the draft that we just gave to Commerce.
And from the time we, the PAC, say we think it's good for going to Commerce, it does not have to go through the Board of County Commissioners. So I just want to make sure that extra step on, because that obviously is on your back and we need to be very, timely to where we're not
Right.
putting you in a crunch.
And plus, we left
Okay.
April and May. Well, March, April, May, we have the ability to do extra meetings in those months, because right now, and Marissa's gonna go over like where we're at, and you'll see that. Other than this proposed March 3rd special meeting, but there's even a March 31st is another 5th Monday in March. And then we have time in April and May to add meetings as necessary.
so have you decided yet what your preferred deadline is for us to deliver that first draft?
The first draft is due in June.
Okay.
We need to get all of the elements, each chapter to you guys to review and look at. And then say, okay, here's the full element or the full comp plan in draft form that we send to Commerce. Then we'll receive the monies and we continue on with our revised contract.
Got it, thank you.
Anything else from staff?
Yes, I have a few more.
Okay.
So I wanted to let the PAC also know that the short-term rental recommendation that the PAC made at their last meeting on topic. Staff is initially briefed the BMCC about the PAC's recommendation about stalling them until we get to the comp plan, have a complete draft of the comp plan plus 30 days. We are going back to to brief them on February 10th to get further direction. So we have a new county commissioner that needed to get up to speed on the whole process that we've gone through with the committee. So we'll be going back to brief them on February 10th to get their direction. The other item I wanted to let you know about is we have an Allen UGA community input meeting that will be held February 27th. From 6 to 8, and it's going to be, we're going to have our consultant there from SCJ Alliance. It'll be a quick presentation, but mostly focusing on questions for anybody attending regarding zoning and development regulations within the UGA. And then I have a little bit of a longer piece I want to share with you guys. It's a chart I put together regarding engagement in our process and what we have accomplished and what we need to accomplish. So I'm going to share. Okay. I'm going to, it's pretty big, so I'm going to have to zoom in. So
Please.
And I'll move it around here. So, well, first of all, I'm going to zoom out so you can see, and then I'll zoom in. So this is chart with our elements that we have to review and where we are in that review process. So, more here. Can you see?
And the folks in the back seat,
They gotta come up forward, Sue. It's-
you need to hear, I'm struggling.
I haven't tried the other ones.
How about now? Do I need to go in a little bit closer?
Please.
And read it out loud.
Okay, I will, I'll explain. So at the very top here is countywide planning policies. We've gone through that process, so that was our first on our list to do. We've completed that process. The Board of County Commissioners have adopted the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Commission. Early on, we had meetings with county, city, state, tribes, and district and stakeholder. We had 2 meetings, and that was early on in 2024. The consultant then updated the draft of the by planning policies, and we brought that to 3 meetings with the PAC for their review and public comment. And as a result, we got the PAC recommendation, and like I mentioned before, we have EOCC review and adoption. That is adopted, and that's available on our project website under project documents currently. So we've looked at the introduction chapter. You all were provided the revisions made by SCJ based on our meeting from November 18th. So the PAC reviewed the introduction and took public comment. At that time, the consultant didn't have the chapter completely filled in, but the introduction is mainly about the process, the comp plan process, engagement, and Growth Management Act requirements. So you were provided with the rest of the revisions done by the consultant. And let's see. So in essence, we're pretty much done with that chapter. I think we can hold it until we get further to looking at the complete comp plan if there's any more additional comments later on. But that chapter is pretty much complete. Chapter 2, community profile and vision. So the draft community profile was first reviewed by the PAC back in February of last year, February 26th of last year. SCJ responded to some questions the PAC had by April. Then we had a community vision survey that opened in June and it indicated that it closed in July, but I believe the consultant still took some comments even after that. The consultant then provided a summary of that vision survey in September. And then the community profile was introduced as chapter 2 of the comp plan along with the vision. At the November 18th meeting, we took comment on the profile and the vision. At your guys' January 13th meeting, we looked at the vision again and also took additional comment, and the PAC took action on that, on the vision. For the most part, chapter 2 is pretty much complete. So then we have chapter 3, land use. At the December meeting, we looked at the land use goals and policies. That was our first review of those policies. The PAC took public comment at that meeting. Then we brought it back again on January 13th at the second PAC meeting. Comment was taken on that as well, and the PAC took action on the draft before them and any comments that were received. So right now, SCJ is updating any tables and charts and narrative based on projections for population, housing, and community profile within that chapter, and we should have a draft of that to bring back as well. I'm hoping to bring back a draft once we get to the once we go and review the rural natural environment element as well, bringing that land use chapter with the updates back. Chapter 4, our draft housing needs assessment presentation. Our first presentation on that was back in August last year, August 19th. Then at the October 7th special meeting, we had a new housing scenario presented by FDS Group, and the PAC took action on that housing scenario D. FCS and SCJ are finalizing the housing needs assessment and working on the draft housing element currently. Then economic development, we're reviewing that tonight. Not much to say except we have a draft of that to review and we'll have public comment. We have received some public comment from the Economic Development Council as well. PAC received that this morning. And then transportation. I don't have too much to say on transportation utilities. Right now, SCJ is doing their research and data gathering and drafting revisions and recommendations. And we will have them, I'm hoping to have them for the transportation utilities and capital facilities element. Have them present to present on those chapters. The capital facilities and financing chapter. SCJ has received back in early 2024, they received the draft element that staff had already been working on. They sent us a request for information that went out to our support services, public works, parks department, and this was to gather information on forecasted costs, timeline verification, and requests for updated information for each county supported facility. So SCJ is following up with, has followed up with staff from different departments along the way as they revise the draft chapter. And then our chapter 8. So parks and trails, like the economic development chapter and the health and human services chapter, are optional chapters that are not funded by the state already. Now, the economic development chapter has been included in our comp plan since as far back as 2005. Parks and trails was first referenced, from what I can tell, actually back in the last update for the first time. And then we've had a Health and Human Services chapter. It's not included in the scope for this review. Public Health may take action to update that, sooner than later. But that's also an optional element. It has been included in our comp plan before, but it was not included in the scope of review for this periodic update. And I just want to mention with the Parks and Trails, so SCJs, we're drafting a reference to the plan, and that plan is typically reviewed by the Parks and Trails Committee. And the last plan was adopted in March of 2022. The other element, our new element, is the climate resilience and hazard mitigation element. Right now, we have a climate policy advisory team that is reviewing the emergency management plan as well as other recommendations that Commerce has for drafting an element. We had our first kickoff meeting in November. To the right here, hopefully everyone can see. I don't know if that's still too small. So, but our first kickoff meeting had to do with what is a climate element, why do we have a CPAC team, so operation principles, process, scope of work, deliverables, and next steps. Our second meeting was in December. In this meeting, we started to identify county assets and explore hazards. The third meeting, which was this month on the 17th, so we reviewed steps of resilience of this reviewed steps of the sub-element, identified priority hazards, looking at the hazard mitigation plan from 2023, the FEMA National Risk Index, and pairing priority assets and hazard. So our next meeting, we're doing these monthly, so the next meeting is February 21st, and our agenda is forthcoming for that. And then Allen's Bavaria plan, so we're in the initial steps of that. We have the meeting plan for the end of February, 6 to 8, like I mentioned before. And encompassing this process, we have our SEPA EIS process also in the works, and the consultants working on that. So far we've started the SEPA scoping process. So we have a comment period that's open until February 19th on that, and basically we're basically asking the public and state agencies to provide based on the scoping notice, if there's anything beyond that scoping notice that we think we need to look at when evaluating an environmental impact statement. So that is out there right now, and that is available on our project website. There's actually a specific link to, there's a specific link that's going to be there for all SEPA details. Our project. So I just wanted to give a quick overview of what we've accomplished and what we still have to do. So everybody's familiar. Hopefully we won't feel as bad. I think it's the content. So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it for staff.
Anything from the commissioners? No. Okay, hearing none. We mush on. Okay, it's time to elect a new chair. Anybody want to be chair?
I'd like to be chair.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. We have a nominee for chair. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Well, Will, you be the man.
Thank you. Take it from here.
Mhm.
Excellent. Okay. First, I just want to say thank you.
Gotta get a vice chair.
Do that. I want, okay. So first, please, for the record, note, I did not vote. I specifically, I did not clarify any conflict of interest at the beginning of the meeting because I didn't know who would be nominated or voted, but I specifically did not vote in that election to ensure there is no conflict of interest or any self-serving motives. That's been a question in here before, and I just want to make that very clear. I did not vote. So with that, we need a vice chair. Would anyone like to be vice chair, or would anyone nominate someone to be vice chair?
I nominate Jeff.
I second that. Here we are. Here we are.
We have a,
Jeff's like, what did I ever do to you?
we have a nomination and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Me. Did you even have a say it? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So you guys have to be,
Well, I guess I should ask.
It's
Do you
fine.
want it?
It's
Okay.
no, it's good.
If you say no, no. Okay.
That way I can give you stab if there's a problem.
So, before we move on, I do want to say a couple of things. First, I want to acknowledge in the back corner, Commissioner Pat Tarswell is here this evening. Pat, if you would just stand up so we could see your lovely face. Thank you. So he's our new commissioner, representing, District 2, and thank you very much for coming tonight and observing, and if you got anything to say, let us know. We also have the executive director of our Economic Development Council, former Commissioner Kevin Schutte. Kevin's in the back there. I suspect we'll hear from him later, which we look forward to. So as we move forward, I've done a lot of thinking, folks, about what we've done in here, particularly to members here of the PAC. I think there's been a lot of positive. I think we've had some challenges too along the way. And I want to be very mindful that PAC meetings are meetings of the Planning Advisory Commission in a public setting. They are not meetings of the PAC with the public. It's a subtle, but I think it's a key difference. Okay. I place a high value on public safety. Last time we met in here, we got very near and even for a short moment exceeded the 40-person limit in the room. Should we get to the 40-person limit, and I can see we're not there tonight, so I'm not going to do a head count. At 40, we have folks sitting in the front of the room, so we're pretty safe there. But if we do get to 40, we will find a way to get below 40 while ensuring everyone can attend and everyone can participate in public comment. We're not going to cut that out, but I'm not going to place anyone's safety at risk. PAC meetings do need to be and will remain, open to the public. But I've done a lot of reading and have sought some advice, and I've been doing some research with the Municipal Research Services Center and requested that Mariah send all of us an article from them that suggests that we keep public comment to just that, an opportunity for public to comment and not allow it to become a question and answer period. The idea is we might be more effective and efficient. And lastly is, this listening is very hard. For some of us, a little older, hearing doesn't work as well. Just mindful for everyone in the room, for public to be able to hear what's going on, for us as PAC members to hear what's going on. No secondary conversations in the room, please. And please keep other disturbances or gestures, just don't do them. If you have to have a meeting, please excuse yourself to outside the building. Even out in the hallway, people can hear folks talking. So just as we move forward, let's focus on that a little bit. So with that, let's see what's next. 10-minute discussion on bylaws.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. In reviewing the PAC bylaws, I noticed that we still carry something about the a committee that does not exist. In fact, the county commissioners in 2002 dissolved the Shoreline Advisory Board. PAC performs that activity for this defunct commission. And so I was thinking, since this bylaws of ours hasn't been really touched since 2017. It's been 6, 7 years, 8 years. It's time for us to take a good look at this end. I've also looked at the 19 other commissions that are in the county. And of the 19 or so, there's 6 of them that don't even have bylaws. The other ones do have bylaws in various iterations, and I think that we should get more in sync with the other commissions that have more, and I say this, more depth to them regarding specific activities. And I would like the commissioners here present to think about, should we update or consider updating the bylaws, and B, would the commissioners accept me taking the role in that and reporting back, talking to each of the commissioners individually and coming up with a recommended revisions. Okay.
One, I'll go first. One, I think the bylaws should be reviewed because they haven't been reviewed for a while. Two, I know from participating in the past with TIPCAP that we revised those. And I don't know if they were ever accepted by the board or held in advance. I can't remember. But somewhere in 2016 or 15.
The current version is 22.
Okay. I know a lot of effort went into getting those synced to better work. I don't know how the 22 are.
Well, interestingly enough, there's only one commission that had BOCC approval, and that was the Clean Water folks. The rest of them, the bylaws were approved by the commissions themselves.
Huh.
So that's what I found.
And as far as the other question is, is it a subcommittee or just an individual? One PAC commissioner? I have no problem either way.
One question. Kel, with regards to open public meeting, if we had one member of the commission talk individually to the other members and then bring everything back here, is that acceptable, or does that violate open public forum and all the other appropriate rules for meeting?
Not recommended.
Okay.
I would think the best way to go forward with it would be that we could do this at a meeting under other business, kind of like we are now. But all of you could review them, send in your comments to staff, me and Marissa. We would then provide a red line version for you to go through with all of your recommendations that you could then approve at the meeting.
Commissioners?
Oh. Yeah, if it's been 8 years, I think, yeah, let's take a look at it. So we have the authority to change them ourselves. We don't have to pass it by the board or anything like that. Just us. Is that true?
That's what we believe to be
Okay.
accurate. I'm confident if we violate something along the way, one will be notified, and two is all but one other of the boards have the same issue going on. So I suspect I'd like to think we're good as long as we stay not too.
I get that.
Okay.
So by the way, don't you guys have to be sworn in? I'm just trying to be
We can
funny.
swear, but we won't.
I don't remember
The public
swearing you
said-
in.
Maybe bring Pat up
Yeah.
to swear.
I don't believe so
I
either.
think we're-
Actually, I was elected chair twice, and
It's just elected.
I'm just
So-
trying to be funny.
Yeah, no,
Don't-
so
No, you
moving
don't.
forward, what I'm hearing, although we don't have no one's moved anything yet, what I'm hearing is a review is in order. I'm hearing that we are the approval authority unless told otherwise. And that the advice from staff is that each of us go in, redline the document, send it to Mariah, and then you give us a complete red line.
So staff will provide us with a version in Word so we can edit.
That would be great. If you could do that, our next meeting is a month away, so if we could get a Word document within the week, give us 2 weeks or 10 days to go back and review it. That gives it back to staff with a few days to consolidate. The package can come out a week before the next meeting. That sound reasonable?
Reasonable to me.
Someone want to say so moved or whatever, so we
yeah,
can do a
yeah.
second?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to,
And I just want to make sure we're talking about these bylaws right here, the Mason County Planning Advisory Commission
I'm
preamble.
a little.
And it should
confused.
say-
I think there's two.
It should be updated, yeah.
Well, this one's 12/17.
Correct.
Is that the right one? Okay.
Okay, so
My motion is first, basically, for staff to provide us a Word copy of the bylaws, the current version of the PAC bylaws for each of the members to review and redline and to return
submit to staff.
submit to staff prior to our next meeting. And when did you want that? Like a week before or at least 2 weeks before?
I think if we got a Word document within 7 days,
Okay,
we
fine.
have 10 calendar days to review it. That should be.
I'll second it.
And then we send it all to Mariah and let her put it together and we're done. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. All right, public comments. So we'll now take public comment on topics that are relevant to the PAC's purpose, but not on the agenda. Public comment period is for items that are not on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Total time allotted for public comments is 15 minutes. All speakers will start by stating their name and generally where they live. We do not want your address. Podium's moving. There's a person behind it though. Yeah, please just, if you live in Hoodsport, it would be nice to know. If you're not comfortable saying that and you simply want to state Mason County, certainly do that. Please do not state your address. I don't want to put anyone
It's personal.
for personal information purposes. So for tonight, I'm going to start a little different. We're going to start in the Zoom room. I do have timers here, so
You
if
got timers? Okay.
I do.
Then I'll
Yeah.
get mine out.
Is there anyone in the Zoom room that would like to make a public comment? If so, please use your Zoom controls at the bottom and hit raise hand. Again, anyone in the Zoom room that would like to make a public comment on a topic not on the agenda for the PAC. Seeing none in the room. Mr. Ackley.
Hello, Jacob Ackley, Arcadia. I'd just like to say for the survey, we have already passed 200 people and we are gonna hopefully pass 300 by the end of the week. I would just like to say, I know that we talk about affordable housing a lot, but the reason we do is we want everyone to be able to live the dream they want to live. That we want everyone to be able to live the life they want. We want everyone to be happy and be able to have a safe place to be.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ackley. Clear this thing,
About mine.
trying to figure it out.
Alan Ramirez. I live in the downtown Shelton area. I just wanted to say that although I do think that the distinction you made about the PAC meetings being meetings for the PAC that happen to be in a public setting, I do think it's important to also make the distinction that the reason why the public like to show up here is so that they can not just feel like they're being heard, but know that the things that they say
Mhm.
and the experiences that they've lived are able to help you all with making better decisions about what goes into this comp plan so that we can all work together to make this county a better place. I do understand sometimes it does maybe make the meetings run a little bit less efficiently because of how much just has to be discussed in general. But I think it would be better to have an overabundance of information rather than be in the dark about what the people of Mason County want Mason County to be like. Especially the people that I do think that the people that always show up to these meetings very regularly are very passionate about what they want Mason County to be like. So I understand what you mean when you say that distinction of what the PAC meetings are, but then there's also what we the people wish the PAC meetings to be. So just want everybody to keep that in mind, that we're here to help you guys out with the comp plan.
Nicely stated. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez.
Lucy Rose, over by Lake Plummer. I'd like to address my commentary towards last month's meeting. I sat in this room and I watched as members of the PAC address the public to emphasize the need for respect and for everyone to respect each other in this room accordingly. And yet the PAC proceeded to act disrespectfully towards the youth of our county by wasting over half an hour debating if it was worth their time to listen to a presentation that our youth have spent months putting together based on their personal life experiences, some of which are very hard to openly speak about. I'd like to remind members of the PAC that you volunteered for an appointed position where it's your duty to act in the best interests of our community, and that requires your active pursuit of public opinion towards community issues. I've heard PAC members respectfully say, or repeatedly say, that the public doesn't respond to surveys or stand in this room to give commentary. And yet last month, our room was filled to capacity to the point where safety was an issue, potentially, and you attempted to silence their voices. They were all here in support of youth that are very concerned about our county and want to be involved with the comp plan, and you attempted to silence that. It takes only a moment of your time to treat the public with a bare minimum of respect and courtesy, and maybe only a moment further to treat them with kindness and like you actually care about their opinion. And I think you'll find that respect will flow both ways between the PAC and our community when you value everyone's time and opinion as well as your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sherry Dysart, and I live near Lake Isabella. My husband and I have lived in Mason County for 40 years, moving here after graduating from Washington State University with degrees in forest management. At the January 13 PAC meeting, while discussing the update to the vision statement for Mason County, Commissioner Harris said that he talked to many people and thought the words close connections to the land should be removed from the vision statement. Frankly, I was astonished by that assertion. We have deep connections to the 4 acres we own and manage as a small farm. We raise chickens, ducks, goats, and a horse, fruit trees, and a vegetable garden. My husband is starting an organic garlic growing business. We have an acre populated by 80-year-old cedar trees. Like any good forester knows, being a good steward of the land means you take a long-term viewpoint, manage for sustainability, and honor your deep connections to the land. These words should be added back to the vision statement of Mason County. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a lot of random ones and I want to get through the 3 minutes. In the past 3 years, the rate increase in electric rates and associated fees, currently my bill was $50 for fees, are due to PUD 3. The number one reason they cite is the number of vacation homes in our county, thus raising the rates for all year round residents. This unintended consequence is a direct correlation to making housing affordable. How can we negate this negative impact? My neighbor told me that of one person who purchased 3 homes in the Hoodsport area for Airbnb and is looking to invest in a fourth. This person approached her father after the death of her mother to ask for the right of first refusal. I searched on Airbnb and I found 20 or just close, right there in the Hoodsport area. If you lived in or wanted to work, could you afford to rent in Hoodsport? I doubt that. I also see very absent from these meetings, Crossroads Housing, Shelton Youth Connections, and Community Lifeline. Before I retired, I used to sit on the advisory board of Crossroads Housing. I understand how this county gets its money for housing. And I could go a long way talking about the Portland Time Count. And so I would like to invite anybody, I have business card, well, retiree business cards, if you'd like to talk to me in depth. I know Commissioner Chudy's been deeply involved in this the past, I don't know, however many years. So I think he can tell you a lot too. I too was appalled by last meeting comments. I listened to them. The first hour was used as stated. And I've seen when I was working, people released from Mason County General who were homeless, who were double amputees, released to Community Lifeline. That's abysmal because they had no housing. There was nowhere to go. So it's not all about drugs and about mental health care issues. We can do a lot more. I had staff. I'm retired. I was a program manager of community mental health here for BHR for 5-7 years. And my case managers could not afford to find rent in Mason County. They had to commute from Lacey. That's a negative impact on our environment and quality of their life. Under risk of losing our homes, there's a lot of reasons we can use our homes. Guess I'm out of time. I'm welcome to give this in and maybe they can take my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Presley. Is there anyone else in the room with the public? Judy?
All right, good evening, Planning Commission, staff, members of the public. Great to be here tonight. Kevin Chudy with the Mason County Economic Development Council. I have a lot of empathy for you all. I started out as a member of the Planning Advisory Commission in 2014 when we were doing the Shoreline Master Program update, and then went right into doing the last comprehensive plan update. When I was elected to the commission, I had approved, as a planning commission member, I had approved the comp plan update, and I thought, I'm finally done with this. But it was waiting for me up there when I took office, and so I couldn't get rid of it. So I have some empathy for you all, and certainly staff does a fantastic job of trying to manage these programs. So my purpose for sharing a few thoughts with you tonight was simply to just say, to count the EDC as a partner. I know you have a discussion tonight about the economic development element. I won't talk about that, but know that we are here and we are aligned with what the county's visions are for workforce development, for housing, for business retention and expansion. Had an opportunity to brief the county commission earlier today on some of those things that we're working on, but we definitely want to see a comp plan that is workable, that aligns with the values and the vision that folks have for the county. And we want to be able to support that effort. And so don't hesitate to call on us if you think we can be helpful. And I would also just encourage you all, this is something that I learned when I was in your position, don't confuse busyness for productivity. Make sure that your conversations are productive and that you're moving the ball forward and that you're getting closer and closer to an adoption of a comp plan. Don't worry about a perfect document because it doesn't exist. but get a document that reflects the values and the vision that the community has. And I know that you will all incorporate the comments that you receive throughout the process. But the nice thing is it will have a legal review, and then we'll also have more public hearings with the county commission. And so there are plenty of opportunities for folks to continue to weigh in. So I encourage you to be open to that and receptive to it. We want to be able to, develop a plan that works for our community. And best part is you'll get another shot at it here in a few years anyway. So the work is never truly done. But I'll leave you with that and just appreciate the opportunity to share a few words tonight. And if you have any questions to follow up with the EDC on the comments that we made on tonight's draft, please do so. We are also, I guess I should also mention, we are also one of the designated community-based organizations in the county doing public participation outreach on behalf of commerce in the county. And so much like Mason County Climate Justice, we've also been out surveying and talking to folks. We've been fortunate to get about 350 responses to our survey so far. We have a few more opportunities coming up in the next several weeks. So we hope to be able to engage with you more with that data when we're finally done collecting it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shooty. Anyone else in the room with a public comment on an item not on the agenda?
Linda Links from Lynch Road, and not on the, nothing I'm saying was on the agenda, but this is sort of a detail. Could we rearrange the furniture in here or do something so that we can hear what you're saying? It's better tonight, but last meeting, you could not hear a thing. There were so many people, maybe a hand mic, or maybe so that Mike's back isn't to the people when he speaks, you can't hear anything. Marissa also has a really soft voice, so that would help, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Links. Anyone else with a public comment on an item not on the agenda? I see no additional hands. We move on to a working session on progress report.
So the progress report was.
What you gave it. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to ask first, though. Okay, good. Next is a review on the economic development element, and just for a protocol issue, make sure I have this right. So we have a discussion.
Actually, staff starts.
Staff starts, we have a discussion, public comment, we have deliberations. Something like that. Okay. Staff.
And staff isn't asking for action tonight either, so. So as I mentioned earlier, the economic development elements is an optional chapter. We've had it since 2005 in the comp plan. But it's been considered an important chapter to include every update. So unlike some of the other chapters, though, there's not a lot of guidance in like the DNA checklist. The WAC does have a little bit of guidance. So WAC 365-196-435 talks about the economic development and some requirements. So the economic development element shall establish local goals, policies, objectives, and provisions for economic growth and vitality and a high quality of life. An economic development element should include a summary of local economy, such as population, employment, payroll, sectors, businesses, sales, and other information as appropriate. A summary of the strengths and weaknesses of the local economy, defined as the commercial and industrial sectors, and supporting factors such as land use, transportation, utilities, education, workforce, housing, and natural social resources. This would also be an identification of policies, programs, and projects to foster economic growth and development and to address future needs. Identification of these policies, programs, and projects should include a summary. And so there's very little on it. So we have gotten some comments from the Economic Development Council that should be helpful in filling that chapter in. Staff really doesn't have anything else tonight, except if the planning commission wants to get public comments or discuss what they've been given so far.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Comments? Sure. Well, Jeff,
First question is, was this written by SCJ or is this created more by the EDC? The one that we're given here, the 9 pages or however many.
So the draft that we received is from the last update in 2017, and that was updated by a consulting group. And the consultant has added a little bit of language concerning climate resilience, some language about burn committees. They've also added some language on a couple of recommendations on goals as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bob,
I'm kind of puzzled about the bike trail or bike lanes and stuff. I own property north of Tahuya, Belfort Tahuya Road. And every summer we have a number of bicyclists, packs of them, that are doing their thing, which is great. But hardly anybody goes the speed limit, even on that road. And so my concern is that we're trying to make Mason County a bit more bicycle rider friendly. Are we keeping in mind that there is a big, I would say this issue when somebody in a 3,000-pound car hits a guy or a gal on a bicycle? Is that really what we want to do? You know, vehicle impacts are usually one-sided. I don't see anything in there about mitigation, other than putting out lines and putting in silhouettes. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Mr. Jeff,
At least the page 8 of this summer or summary that's been produced for us. Is one of the focus areas of community development and quality of life. One area that's highly important is, public safety. Just in general, whether it's fire, EMS, or sheriff, or what have you. So, I think some referencing needs to be done in that area. Also, another point, like we take the time to lay out kind of the employment, and that's good to understand what's going on, and the challenges we have in Mason County. The other part of it is, I don't mean to an individual business, but to different industries, what's really contributing to, supporting Mason County, to the growth of Mason County. And one thing that comes to mind is, we talk about forest products, we talk about tourism, we talk about those types of things. But it seems like we overlook one big thing, which is which everybody's talking about all the time, but is, housing. Yeah, I mean, there's a fair amount of transactions that occur in this county every year as far as just one property changing housing changing hands, but also the development of new housing and its impact on the tax base and what have you. So I think needs to be some focus in that area. I'll stop there.
Randy?
So this is as of 2017, did I hear that right? Written as of 20, but when was this written? I thought I heard.
Well, having economic development element since 2005, and it's been updated. It was updated in the 2017 update, and then this is an update for this.
Oh, so this is, for example, I see numbers here. they're labeled as of 2021, is that correct? That's what I see on the thing, but I just want to make sure I know how current these.
That's our current as of today.
Oh, okay,
So you're looking for the latest information. Yeah.
okay. I was gonna say construction is mentioned, in this particular graphic, which is obviously
There's a
directly
portion.
related to housing, but
There's a portion,
I don't know,
You have anything else, Randy, or
no, I'm good for now.
Mike?
I'm good.
Let me throw my comments in there. So, a couple of things. So I spent some time reading the economic vitality plan on the EDC. This morning, Mr. Schutte came and briefed our Board of Commissioners on what the EDC is doing. It was a really good, and my apologies, I didn't bring my notes. So I'm going to run a little bit off the head here real quick, but it was a really good, 10, 12, 14-minute summary of some of the things the EDC is doing. And he tied out trying to attract new business, specifically looking at elements going down at the port, looking at some of the industry that we have. We have, I think it's True Plan, and if I got the name wrong, but it employs 45 folks today, but has the opportunity to grow 2 or 3 times, and specifically defense and support of aerospace, Boeing. And this year is in our county, and it's what I really caught was the diversity and variety of types of jobs. And they were jobs that again, I didn't look up the companies, didn't do any of that, but I said, I bet those are good paying jobs. It just sounded like a good paying job to me. And that's all. He tied out working with the schools, both high schools and particularly the colleges, on a specific type of welding that currently we don't teach, but they're looking at teaching because we have a niche for that. Is a specific type of welding and inspections that go with it. And is how can we expand that and provide that opportunity for our youth and for others that want to, change your career and take a different direction. And Kevin just laid all that out. And it was like it was an impressive dozen or so minutes. And Kevin, as we talked, thank you. I thought it was really good. So I would take a look at that. And so what my suggestion on the economic development element is, I think the first half is generally okay, but I think the key in this is to, right now, I see is our EDC and the economic development element, they talk different languages. And I really like the way the EDC is laid out. They have 4 big goals: grow local jobs, recruit new jobs, support startups, and strengthen industry clusters. And the strengthen industry clusters, that is talking to developing county residents to improve their skills. And we're talking more in the tech and construction, trade schools, those types of things, if you will, good paying jobs. And I think, I would also comment somewhere, okay, so that's one. I think there's way too many goals in this. There's 80 plus goals and or policy actions at the end. I just think that's overwhelming, my opinion. Some are very granular, good stuff, but very inconsistent with the other elements. So either the other elements need more detail, or we bring this one up, would be what I would suggest. Frankly, cut this down to about 20 or so and have them a little high level. That doesn't mean we don't keep the granularity, but maybe we don't stick it in a plan where we're hard attacking it and we're hard committing to it. Allow a little flexibility, because I believe, and we've heard some of this come out of this room, there may be some considerations economically in how we do some of this.
Also to the prioritization.
I'm sorry?
The prioritization. at the, you know.
Yeah, at the end, yeah, and like you, to me, I looked at the top 10 and I wanted to know, no kidding, where are we recruiting new jobs? Where are we growing our local jobs? Where are we building our people? And I saw the bike trail as like number 8 or 9. I'm like, okay, maybe good for tourism, but and not knocking tourism. I'm just acknowledging it, like we heard from the public tonight, is with the growth of tourism, there are some unintended consequences unless we have hotels or other types of buildings come in here, because if it's more short-term rentals, there's broad breadth of ideas on how to handle short-term rentals. We'll leave that open. So that would be my overarching. The one other thing, and Cal, I sort of look to you and staff, I would ask is, so I think in the comp plan, we've used about $67,000 as a annual mean income. When I go out to the EDC site, they have about 76,000. When I looked at Department of Commerce this weekend, they had $80,639 as an AMI for Mason County. I'm not arguing any one of those numbers. I'm just acknowledging between about 67 and 80, that's a $13,000 spread, and that's a big number. And it probably would be really helpful if we are consistent across the comp plan. It's sort of like a global change at the end. I don't know what the answer is, but something we might want to add to the parking lot down the road.
Yeah, I think a good parking lot, and we can talk about it later, because when we pulled the numbers, it's from the 2021 data. And so, data changes all the time. And
Correct.
so when we picked it, it's changed since then.
Yeah.
But, so we'll just have to.
Well,
come
that
back
80
To some options.
Yeah, the 80K snapshot was a 23 estimate made, I don't know, a year ago or whatever, and we've been doing this for 12 months, so yeah, just wanted to note that. So those are we also, on top priorities in one of the paragraphs, I would add the word homelessness. We talked about some of the challenges. I think that's one that to me was missing from the list that we could add. But I had, it was like 27 comments total on this. That's the high level on about 8 of them. So, but I really think aligning it to the EDC we could keep much of what's there, would likely end up reorganizing it, sort of under 4 big goals, if you will. And now if we do that way, now the county and the EDC are tied out and we're speaking with one voice.
And you have a lot less explaining to do when someone asks the question.
Well, it also sets our executive director of our EDC and our 3 commissioners for success, because they now have one voice to speak from. Otherwise,
right,
they're gonna be trying to explain the differences, and that's never good.
I personally like to see other entities as well. So every, whole community is kind of speaking the same language.
Mhm.
These typical incomes you're talking about, the other ones, were those also medium, or those some sort of average, or do you remember? Because the average and medium will give you as you know, give you different numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Give me a minute.
So.
And while you're looking out, I didn't want to mention that I really like personally the high school and college, the focus on CTE. You have all these tech jobs or jobs that require developed skills. I'd rather they go to, Shelton people growing up here than, okay, we have these jobs that we import a lot of people from outside. I'd rather those jobs go to locally trained people.
Well,
you bring in people from the outside, that also affects housing market.
Yeah, and if we can build our own folks, it gives the ability of the EDC and the Board of Commissioners that they support and collaborate with that. Same with our state legislatures. We already have a workforce. No one has to bring one in. We have it. And that makes it it's more attractive to an employer. So I like what you're saying. To answer your question, this statement is Washington State median household income estimates by county And this is, the contact is from an OFM, so Office of Financial Management is the contact for this. In Mason County, the number for, so 2021 was 73,690. The 2022 estimate was $78,029, and the 2023 estimate was 80,639.
Okay,
So,
thanks
you know,
for doing
so-
that.
so
It
me-
is, yeah. Sounds like
Again,
using
one source, and I'm not saying, all I'm acknowledging is we have some different numbers, and at some point, we probably need to collaborate, and again, the more we can align teams, the better. we
I
are.
agree.
Yeah.
It's how they define, what cohorts are defined as family, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure the metric was the same, which it sounds like it is. They're using median.
We had the same problem with population.
Oh, yeah.
Just to follow up, Randy, the Shelton High School has a number of academies that are going that direction like we were talking about. My only concern is that you got the Shelton High School doing this, but what about the other school districts in the county? Are they tied into that somehow or not? I haven't heard. I mean, Greatview or,
I don't know, but I suspect we might have the answer in the room.
Yeah, so I'll just say that Shelton has, you're right, they do have their academy program. The other two K-12 or the other secondary schools, school districts in Mason County do programming a little bit differently. We've had the most sort of success partnering with Shelton on that, but Mariam Knight and North Mason certainly have their opportunities for CTE education as well. It just might look a little bit different.
Thank you. And if I may, I recognize I violated what I asked everyone not to do in the beginning, okay? And I see some smiles in the room, so thank you. Good, you caught me, and that's good. I did so because with Mr. Shooty in the room, with Kevin in the room, as the executive director of the EDC, he does have the answer, so I'm being maybe a little liberal, but treating him somewhat like staff on this specific topic. So, you have something?
I'm done.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, you're talking about Grapeview and the south side. They're all feeder districts, as you know, into Shelton, so they get whatever advantages, but yeah. I don't have a clue what they're doing up at North Mason or Matlock. I'm hoping they're doing the same thing. Like you say, we do have a workforce, but do they have the skills for the jobs we believe are happening? I hope those are being developed.
Mike, anything else? No. Open up for public comment.
Open.
Great. So we will open this up for public comment. We'll start in the room this time. Same thing, it's 3 minutes per person. And if you're interested, raise your hand. Anyone? Yes, sir. Mr. Ramirez.
Come on
I'm
up.
sorry, his hand went up. Mr. Ackley, your hand stayed down. 1 second, pause. I guess we're on a break for.
He'll be back.
I'd rather wait till he's back. My apologies. Meeting control, one of many challenges. We'll just hold on, wait till he's back. I wouldn't want him to miss the comment, so. Anyway. Mr. Ramirez? Yeah.
Yeah, again, my name is Alan Ramirez. I live in the downtown Shelton area. I just wanted to say that I think I speak to a lot of you when I say that the businesses that are in Shelton are maybe not the most entertaining to somebody who's maybe between the ages of probably about 10 and 15. If you can't drive anywhere, there's not really a lot to do in most places that they're heavily residential. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that if the youth of the county are being have their minds be stimulated throughout their upbringing, they'll probably be more into going to school and learning when they know that after school they can de-stress at I don't know, a fun business place. Say we have I don't know, a Costco or something where you can just walk around and buy a really cheap hot dog. I think the youth of this county would love that a lot. Or even attracting some other businesses I don't know, Chuck E. Cheese, wherever kids like.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just think that the PAC should keep that in mind, that developing the economy isn't just about like what all the grown-ups, what like it would be beneficial to the county with increase in businesses like the trades for instance, like how SHS is doing with their academies and stuff. But it's also about like making sure that the people who live here have a good time here. It's not really a fun place to live if there's not anything to do after school. So yeah, I just kind of want to say that.
We stand kickers.
Hello, Chief Beckley again, Arcadia. What I'll say is the schools here, at least from my experience, do actually offer a lot of programs, even for a small town. Like there's 3 options for high school, obviously, Choice, Cedar, and Shawnee High, which I do think is a good start. I would definitely say maybe try and get, maybe try and figure out industries that could work in this town that would be like very interesting to people who grew up here their whole lives. Like try and find a way where they can actually work here and afford to work here. I think that there is a lot of people who grew up here who would love to stay in this town, but also just kind of want some adventure and maybe want to see this town change for the better.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ackley.
I would just like to say that one of the foundation blocks for a thriving economy is access to diverse educational opportunities. And it was pointed out and suggested by members of the PAC at previous meetings that in order for our youth to obtain higher paying jobs, that they should pursue higher education or trade schools. And yet our county is repeatedly lacking in our level of education as well as opportunities for further growth outside of high school. I would urge the PAC to attempt to emphasize ways to support our schools and additional educational programs and meet the people of our community where they are. 30% of our county is in the 200% poverty level. And I would argue that a large portion of our county isn't far above that level. Children in these households can't afford higher education, and we shouldn't be asking them to go into debt with student loans just to be able to work within our county. We have a thriving forestry industry, we have a thriving fishing industry, we have multiple trades that are accessible in our county. And we have multiple businesses that run these trades in our county. We should look at partnering with our local businesses to provide access to educational programs that benefit both our students and our economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Anyone else in the room? Yes, ma'am. You're next.
It's Corey Presley, Kenosha area. I think it would behoove us to have some sort of aquifer study, because if we're gonna invite a business or a new home to situate, we don't know where our water is. And without a comprehensive aquifer study, I find it difficult. I attended a meeting, at Squaxin Island Tribe at the casino, put on in conjunction with Mason County, and that was one of my questions is, where are aquifers? And they said, we don't know. So how are we gonna go, is your well gonna go dry? We don't know. Can we support a business? So.
Thank you, Ms. Presley.
I can dovetail back to the break lanes briefly.
That would be outside of the folk. Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
I'm Anderson Porter and I live in the Hillcrest neighborhood. So I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about how difficult it is to be especially like under the age of 18 and get a job in Shelburne. And there's not very many opportunities and especially being under 18. And I think that the academies do shape you up for like a higher education and like these different industries. But up until then, there's not really very many opportunities to have a job. So I just wanted to address that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Linda Links from Lynch Road. My comment is not so much about economic development, although I will speak as a shellfish owner, grower, farmer. Sprawl is the enemy of shellfish growing. And that's one alarm I'd like to give you guys, that, you know, when you're talking about housing, where to put multiple, you need to save the trees, don't pave the driveways. Everything along the waterfront is endangered in our shellfish industry, which produces a lot of jobs, which are also another alarm to raise is deportation of the shellfish industry workers. There may be a lot of job openings coming up here, so that's not exactly on the topic, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Links. Anyone else? Mr. Shuley.
Well, good evening again, Kevin Schutte, Mason County Economic Development Council. So we have as you can imagine, a vested interest in this element of the comprehensive plan update. I just want to touch on a couple of things in terms of workforce development and education. We are very much committed to making sure that people in Mason County have opportunities to the types of jobs that they want to have here in Mason County. And so we recognize that a trade or college isn't for everyone. There's other opportunities to find work here. And so we want to be able to grow those pipelines. If you are interested in college and are having issues with financial aid or the cost of higher education, encourage you to maybe read up and learn a little bit more about Shelton Promise, which is a great program that's being piloted in the Shelton School District right now. It's a partnership with Evergreen to provide free tuition for Shelton High School graduates. It also allows them to, I think, get a housing assistance and a stipend while they're going through school. So it will follow the student for 4 years. So some opportunities there for folks that, you know, might not otherwise be able to access higher education. So the EDC has also been working with PAC Mountain Workforce Development to help create some synergy around training opportunities. And so we have been working with their as part of the Workforce Development Council to bring them into our community to find employers who are in need of hiring and pairing those up with the folks that are currently unemployed or seeking training opportunities. So PAC Mountain does a great thing where they provide on-the-job training for people who want to learn new skills and get placed in other kind of work environments. And so because they're able to then cover half of the cost of employing that person while they're going through a training program. So it takes some of the risk out of it for the employer, pairs them with an employee who's interested in learning those trades and skills and helps them build that career path. So we see a lot of opportunity on the workforce development side. Housing side, it's a challenge. One of the key components of expanding housing opportunity and really driving that into places where density can accommodate that type of growth. So into our urban growth areas to try to align with our Growth Management Act. You know, a key part of that is having modern infrastructure that can support that kind of development. And so we're working with all of our public agencies to help expand access to critical infrastructure like sewer, water, power, broadband, roads. All of those things kind of line up to help create an environment that allows more housing to be built across the spectrum. I agree it's tough to put that kind of development along the shoreline. We want to be able to protect that resource because it is also another vital part of our economy. And so we have an interest in seeing that development track toward urban growth areas. So I'll just leave you with this. We're interested in continuing to have the conversation about this element of the comp plan. As the county's associate development organization, we do carry a contract with the county in order to do a lot of this work. And so hope to have an opportunity to continue to refine this with staff as this moves forward. So
thank you. Anyone else in the room with a comment? All right, let's go to Zoomland. If you have a comment on public housing, I see Miss Gail has her hand up there. So is Julianne? Go
Hi,
ahead.
this is
All right.
Julianne. I'm in Belfair. This is comment on economic development chapter and element, right? Not public
Correct.
housing?
Yeah,
Okay.
economic development.
I just wanted to speak to the point about alternative modes of transportation, such as bicycles. One of the purposes of putting something about bicycles in allows to plan for safety needs so that drivers can behave safely and so that bicyclists can also behave safely. And it's not just recreational. There are people who don't have cars in our county for whom a bus stop is way too far away to walk to. And it certainly would be more dangerous to walk than to be on a bike on the road. And so if we want folks to be able to have access to good jobs, they need to be able to get to those jobs. And so bikes are one way that people can get to work and contribute to our community. And I think it's great that we're thinking about long-term safety for both vehicle drivers and for bicyclists and considering multiple modes of transportation, how people get to work, such as increasing public transportation or increasing opportunities for bike safety could go a long way to supporting economic development in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gail. Tamara, I see your hand up.
Hi, this is Tamara Ingwaldson. I work for New Horizon Communities and I live in Lake Limerick. And one of the things that I really appreciated seeing in the economic development piece was really starting to look at ways to focus on implementing low impact development techniques to help make development not only economical but also environmental and balancing those two things. And one of the things that I would like to ask that we continue to keep as part of that front of mind type of thing is as we're looking at different opportunities, especially, for example, the new freight corridor, aka otherwise known as the Belfair bypass, that as we're putting in different roads and different things, even though there may not be additional development planned right away, preparing it to be able to turn over quickly. So when you dig up that road, put the conduits in so that the turnover time for other businesses, construction, utilities, and everything is shorter. And then it'll help that full process down the road and along the way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ingwaldson. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, sure, you betcha.
Hot dog. Got one. All right. Is there anyone else in Zoom land that would like to make a public comment on the economic development element? I don't see any other hands going up. Anyone else in the room? One last call. Seeing none. Back to the table. I'll just make a couple comments to help on a couple of things. Bike paths, I know in tip cap space, bike paths are definitely a key consideration. Saw your hand up. I just want. It definitely is an interest in many of our communities, bike paths and sidewalks. And tip cap is the citizens panel in transportation and we listen to folks who come in and have ideas about that. It is there are definitely a couple areas I'm thinking of right now that hey, it really looks good. And what I mean by that is there's space on the sides of the road. Other areas, you take North Shore Road as an example. You go to one side, it's pretty steep going uphill. On the other side, you're immediately into somebody's property. You're immediately into, basically a drainage or storm drain. So there are areas where, like you described, Bob, it's really a challenge. Not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that there's just some physical considerations that make it hard. one of my other comments I had on this element, and thank you, Mr. Schutte, for bringing up infrastructure. One of the comments I had that I passed to staff was, at some point, I think we should suggest to the Board of Commissioners that they make some sort of, I guess, take a position on infrastructure. I understand very well this is a very, it can be a very sensitive topic, and it can be a very emotional topic, and it can be a very political topic. Does the public pay for infrastructure to potentially support private growth? I'm thinking of the sewer extension up there above the hill over Belfair. Look, I am not going to take an opinion one way or another. I'm going to acknowledge that within this room, there has been I'm sure, a topic of debate that you go back and look at videos that our commissioners have had. I think it's important, though, within the context of the comp plan, that as a minimum, we suggest the commissioners, maybe it's executive session for the appropriate reasons, but we need some sort of direction of, are we going to say, no, this is developer funded, or there's a potential for public funding? If so, how? Because these are all elements that eventually, as we start to try and bring business in or try and bring development in for housing, these are all factors that play into that. And that's one thing that I see the topic in the economic development element. I don't see any position. I know it's a very sensitive topic, but I do think that's something that needs to be addressed.
The USCC can always add it in.
And I think they're the ones that need to answer that. I don't know that we're in a position to do that. I don't think so.
An opinion is, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I had a question kind of related to that with what Tamara brought up with this bypass, for example. Is there because I haven't seen that plan, that was, hashed a while back, and I guess it's already approved, but is there consideration in that plan with infrastructure built in that allows for this growth we know is gonna happen? And then is that paid for somehow, like through developer, impact fees, for example, from future developers? I know they haven't paid for it yet, but is there like a funding mechanism that would be put in place that could be paid back later through impact fees when developers come in? I mean, that's just a question. Because somehow these things have to get paid for.
Is that something staff is in a position to address, or do we not know yet?
They should be working on the plans.
Yeah, I'll let them think for a minute. I would observe right now when the freight corridor goes in, as it has gone through its development, the version that has been approved up to this point over the last 18 or so months. Originally, there were 2 traffic circles, one at Log Yard Road that would connect, one at Romance Hill. Those are not part of the project. Those are capabilities that can be put in down the road, and as I understand it, funded by the county. Okay, that would be county, and again, that's so the immediate development, and we enter up at Lake Flora, we drop out, just right down by by the high school, and I think there is one place where it's crossed, and it's basically a stop sign both sides, what I last heard, and that was a year ago, so that could have changed. I'm not committing to that. But no, I don't. I mean, I think, we don't have an answer on
The
impact.
project was a zombie for quite a while, and who knows what it looks like now.
Yeah. So, with the economic development element, then, couple of thoughts on proceeding. What I think I'm hearing is that probably some revisions. I see, Jeff, you got a variety of notes there. Don't worry, I got an Excel spreadsheet, whatever. But I think what I'm hearing is we don't have a decision tonight. We do have a variety of ideas to update that. I heard from our Economic Development Commission that they're open. In fact, they have a contract in essence to sort of do that. you know, if that would be appropriate, maybe the recommendation is, staff and the EDC work
Well,
together.
Kevin had a number of comments,
Yeah,
so they should be incorporated.
yeah. And then, the real question is, I mean, I just feel pretty strongly that in the end, I think the EDC and I think the county need to be aligned in structure. And I'll be honest, I'm biased towards the EDC structure right now. I think it fits well to, help our people, bring in people, help help our industry, bring in industry, grow our people. I mean, those are things that resonate well, and I think we heard that tonight from some of the community members, along with find things that youth like.
I'm agreeing with you. I think it should be more than just the county and EDC. I think I've said this for years. There should be like whole community and other areas like the tribes, whatever. Are we talking the same language? Are we referring to the same metrics? Like for example, these median household income. I might delve into the nerdatorium and maybe suss that out a little bit. My bias on subsidizing housing and infrastructure and all that is if the county is going to subsidize or incentivize, first priority, in my opinion, is affordable housing to people that can't afford housing now, if we're going to do something like that. And I do have a question. I'd like to talk to the lady that talked about the PUD if she wants to after, because that doesn't compute with me. So there's more SCRs or Airbnbs. Therefore, my electric bill is higher. That does not compute because they're always saying growth pays for growth. Well, I don't want to pay for someone else's growth because they're renting a house. As far as safety, if someone who was literally run over while I was standing by the side of my truck, a big advocate for safety on the roads. And if that happens to you, my advice is get a good lawyer because the insurance companies are pretty sleazy.
And it hurts too. Anyway, Jeff had something to.
Yeah, one area too we didn't talk much about, and it's been part of the focus area that I think should be elaborated a little bit further, is the where it's under the community development and quality of life, but in particular, I'm addressing the health side of the issue, where it's identified, about the over 65 higher percentage Mason County has relative to other counties. But I remember looking at the census data. One big area is that Mason County in the working age group. I mean, there should be something dealing obviously with the older population because there's a higher percentage of people in this county and that's a service and industry employment and all that kind of type of thing. But in the group between, I think they say 16 to 64, which is a working group, the census is showing that Mason County basically has about 13.5% of people with disability. And what the census uses as disability is, sight, mobility, hearing, cognitive. And it's substantially higher than other counties, the state. And, so an effort should be made to bring that type of support that's required for that, in the business, employment, service types side, also to the county. Because basically what that boils to is that technically anybody that's 16 to 64, 1 out of every 7.5 people you look at is, I mean, obviously if you're not getting around, you're not going to see it. But what I'm trying to say is it's a high statistic relative to other counties, and there should be effort in bringing in businesses or services that would support that.
And accommodate those.
Yeah, accommodate
to where we still,
yeah.
Folks have the opportunity
So
to go get a job.
Got the ADA out there.
Right, because that's one big thing that can lead to challenges in home ownership in that age, in that age group, is if you get hit by a catastrophic type illness or something, it can set you back
Decade.
if not forever. So, anyway, that's my two bits on the, that focus area for, community development and quality of life.
So how do you recommend we proceed at this point? Anyone?
Well, if we're being asked to approve this now, I don't.
We are not. We are
Okay,
not.
okay, good. I want to add to you, talk about the old people moving in. This is I've said this for years as well. This is a beautiful county. I think somehow we should try to attract people that are old and retired. They've already created their wealth outside. You know, come in and bring your $2 million 401k or whatever, you know, bring your wealth in. That's money we don't have to create ourselves, or wealth we don't have to create ourselves. I'm sorry?
That's exactly what's happening.
I think so, yeah. I've been talking to some Edward Jones folks and people that are selling houses in California. They could retire because they can buy a house up here for a fraction of that and bank the rest of it. And that's a lot of that's happened. Because I was confused because there's like 5 or 6 Edward Jones, and I was asking him, you know, we think we're a poor county, which we are, but is there enough money to support 5 or 6 of these shops? And apparently there is. Sorry.
Yeah, no, good point. I think is we look at people moving in though that, you know, let's just say I'm coming from, pick your spot, but I come in with wealth, okay? And I move in with a couple of million, I buy my home. That's one less home for a county resident. That's one less home for our youth as they, you know, go out and do their, you know, their education, their military service, their hard work. They're living at home now. There's 4 or 5 years, maybe after high school, whatever that construct is. It's one less home that's available for them for their consideration. It's one of those mixed bags where yes, they come in with money, but
well, I get that argument.
Yeah,
but the kinds of houses they either build and buy, even the people that have trouble affording housing aren't going to buy those houses anyway.
Okay.
I would like not to get in deeper tonight, but I think we should come up with ideas to create incentive affordable housing, which in my opinion, for people that limited resources is more a problem of they can't afford rent because they're not going to buy a house anyway. I mean, when I started out, I couldn't afford to buy a house, but I could afford to rent a place, and I lived in Bellevue. From what I could tell, that's tough even down here. So that's my opinion.
I guess I'll throw out the idea that, you know, I think we have a number of updates, number of revisions. Maybe we pass those to Mariah and then, you know, ask that, you know, staff and EDs.
I would recommend take what we've talked about tonight, see if we can get it more fleshed out as to the section. Because then we've got a lot of different subjects, and then let EDC and the staff, you know, come together and work that into a more comprehensive document, and then come back to us.
Challenges is for us, that's a subcommittee.
This is a work session.
Yeah.
So the point of that is to have you guys discuss, get the public comment, and then we take all of that, bring this back to you later with all of those things included.
Okay.
I like that. It's my kind of idea.
Over to staff.
Over to staff.
Yeah, at some point, we're gonna have to start putting a blessing on these elements.
Yeah.
And we have elements we still need to see.
And we will have those as public hearings instead of work sessions.
So
like Kevin said, is, you know, don't sacrifice the good for the perfect, but I do think we have to have like internally consistent and you know, good thing. And we can send to staff our comments on this too. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to see I think I was referencing what you were saying is, I'd like to see more of an EDC flavor versus a planner's flavor in this element. That's in.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, the other big one I would say is again on the goals and the policies and the goals in the back. I counted and there were sort of 80 individual actions. And my opinion is, I think it's different than the other elements that we've seen.
Yes.
And I would suggest more consistency. When can you all get your comments to Marissa? Or sorry, to who's collecting them? Marissa's collecting them. Okay. Is that something you can do in a week? Less time, more time?
Sure, whatever the deadline is, but
I'm asking you what your deadline is. So what do we want to commit to?
So we're not having the next, okay. I'm just thinking about my change of life. Right now.
Yeah, you're a little busy.
Well,
So-
March 3rd is the next activity for us.
Today's January something.
Or not March, excuse me, February 24th.
Yeah.
I would say
I'd say,
2 weeks from today.
yeah, I was gonna say the exact same,
4
yeah,
plus 5.
All right.
yeah, let's just say, yeah.
So
So
by
29 days.
10 February,
That's fine.
we'll get our comments to
Yeah.
Marissa.
I'm gonna be gone next week, so I'm leaving Friday, so, and I won't be back till the following Friday, so I won't have any time while I'm gone. And probably not much time between now and Friday, so.
Well, see if we can do something.
Yeah. And Marissa, you have mine. And I think this is a question. I think what we're saying is more aligned to, let's our desire would to see more alignment between the county comprehensive plan and the Economic Development
Yeah.
Council. So it's a similar structure. So we are setting up the executive director and our 3 boards of our 3 commissioners for success with one voice.
Right.
Okay, so that would be the suggestion is more aligned that way. And I think Mr. Schutte, I think Kevin has volunteered to help and support there. He's shaking his head up and down. So
Can we? Do we have, or can we get the documentation that, we like, I guess? Of the EDC, their documentation that has the structure that you're
yeah,
saying we like.
so if you could forward my comments, that'd be one. Number 2 is if you go to masonedc.org. Go over to actually, if you could bring it up on the screen, masonedc.org, go over to resources and drop down to economic vitality, and you'll see it. And I'll just talk it
On their website.
on their website.
Okay.
It was easy to find.
Okay.
I found it. So anything else on the EDC element? Okay. Then agenda. Next on the agenda is review and update the introduction section to the comprehensive plan.
I basically spoke to that at the beginning. It's just bringing back the revisions made by the consultants. Based on my comment that you have. So it's just let you
Thank you.
guys see it before.
Have you been able to find the EDC?
Yeah.
Before we get our discussion, let's just bounce over to the EDC real quick.
Oh, God.
Okay. Yeah, resources. I'm just gonna stand up at the front here. Go to resources, drop down to economic vitality. Right there, click that. You'll see, and this scroll slightly, get number 4 down here. 2 things. One, this actually takes you to a report that sort of talks through. It's about 10, 11 slides, it's sort of a nice layout. And then just click on the bottom one real quick. Under each one of these, it expands. And you'll see down in here, they talk about, so you sort of have a high level discussion, what we might call a goal or a policy. Here are sub elements, and it talks back and forth. And one of these, this is, strategic, this work with the public sector, the strategic clusters, this is workforce training, and this is part of the high school piece is the way I read it. So anyway, that's where it is, but it sort of lays it out to me sort of straightforward.
Is the vitality index that defined in there somehow?
It's
that's-
actually it's a, like
Or is that-
11-page slide deck, you know, you'll have to look.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll ask Kevin if I have questions.
yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, thank you, Mariah.
Something for him to look for.
So good. All right. So with that, the introduction section, staff's given their update earlier on. Discussion.
Start. At least. Go to one point at least. Page 6, where you have the Planning Advisory Commission. In the area where it says plan aligns with state laws, basically, we need, or somewhere in there, we need to get the framework that the PAC is advising the board of the county commissioners, I think.
You're looking at the bylaws now, right?
No, I'm not looking at the bylaws. I'm
Look
looking
at the
at
introduction.
introduction, number page 6.
Oh, okay.
Under what it calls Planning Advisory Commission.
Page, this is probably a very important point. Does the PAC actually present to the board of commissioners for this staff presents? Staff presents, okay, because this reads, the PAC is responsible for reviewing and presenting
Right.
the updated draft to the BOCC. And staff, yeah. So
That correction, that'd be fine. All I was getting at is we're advising
We're making recommendations.
recommendations.
right, and very specifically, staff presents
Yeah.
to the BOCC, we don't.
Okay. Yes. I have one, I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't have any.
If I can pause you for a second,
Go ahead.
the PAC also serves as a liaison between the public and decision makers. That sounds a little overstated. I
That's how you look at it.
well,
Well, if you think
if
about
we
it,
don't
Bill,
go, yeah,
we get public input on our discussions and stuff. And as a liaison with the BOCC, we basically take what the public says, flows through us, and it makes it to the,
staff, okay,
yeah.
okay.
I kind of agree. I think liaison may be too strong a word, but I do myself. I want to hear everything the public wants and different organizations, whatever. All information is good.
Yeah, no, that's not the issue. It's
But to say we're officially the liaison, yeah, that
to
might be a
the
little too
decision
strong.
makers, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Second change the conduit then.
On page 7, second paragraph, where it says to implement strategies identified in the comprehensive plan. And it's referencing, okay, Mason County must update its regulations to support and carry out the plan's goal. I mean, is it really a must? And what I'm getting at is, are we gonna be visiting zoning and subdivision, and we're not gonna be visiting that kind of stuff in the comp plan,
Our consultants, based on the work they do with our policy
right?
in the comp plan, they will be providing us recommendations if we need to update development regulations.
So they're going to be looking like at, say, zoning as an example.
So this is really a placeholder then.
Okay. I get it.
But we're not responsible for doing that, right?
Well, if they bring it back to us.
Well, I mean, as far as actually constructing whatever ordinances need to be.
We're
Yeah, staff would bring forward, like, post adoption of the comp plan update, then we implement the development regulations, so we would be looking at our current existing development regulations and all the comp plan amendments, and then seeing where we need to make change. And then we would be bringing to the planning commission development regulation amendments. And she would then forward to the board. But that would be done after the comp plan gets updated.
Okay.
Got it, thank you.
Anyone else while he's looking?
Somebody's already know the answer.
No, it's gonna let you
Yeah.
go through and once you're good, I think we're ready to open it up to public comment. Once you've completed you got notes on every page. No, I got,
We did get an answer like about the commerce reviews and all that on the scheduling there, so.
Dave, could I see that? I guess. Those are the.
So, yeah, that's pretty,
Oh.
October, I think it was.
Yes, yes.
And, back to the very end.
So,
Okay, that's.
so like you have this code, you call it the subdivision code, which is dividing up parcels and what have you. And in the whole process of creating roads, streets and all this kind of thing. Then we have a section there where it talks about, like walkable neighborhoods, protecting natural resources. Is that what I mean? Okay, like in a subdivision code, what would we envision as protecting natural resources and creating this subdivision? I mean, is it like a covenant that goes with the property or something that?
We could.
All subdivisions are, they have to meet the Mason County Resource Ordinance or Shoreline Master Program, so they all have to. If there's a wetland, if there's a stream, they still
Okay.
have to meet setbacks, they may
Okay.
have to have mitigation.
Again, nothing precludes, the developer from, putting in covenants. It's like where I live, we have to have a minimum number of trees.
On the, also on page 7, other implementation tools. Do we get into the function, when I say we, does the county get into the function of like maintenance of buildings and structures within Mason County? I get it when we build, I get maybe when we change occupancy, but
so the question to staff is then on page 7, the bottom paragraph under other implementation tools, the second sentence reads, building codes, for example, regulate the design, construction, quality of materials, use, occupancy, location, and maintenance of buildings and structures within the county. Do we address maintenance requirements?
Yeah. Buildings are getting.
So this is more into uninhabitable from a structural perspective. Yeah. Yeah, no, fair enough.
You got code enforcement, or supposed to have it.
it didn't seem, so much of it's either like new construction or,
Yeah.
And here, all of a sudden now we're talking about maintenance.
Well, and so when we talk about county buildings and structures, there certainly is a maintenance piece to it, but this appears to be broader than that.
Yeah,
So-
right.
We don't it's super nuanced.
Okay.
So just really,
Leave it to me.
we don't go out and require, hey, you have to update your building to meet these new codes, but if you came in and said, hey, I'm gonna do some window or
Mhm.
if you're going to propose some maintenance, then you have to follow current code.
Okay,
So, yes, that is a correct statement. It's very nuanced. It does not mean the county goes out and requires, hey, you need to do this,
Right.
that, and the other.
Leave it to me.
no,
He got a new prescription, he's equalized again.
yeah. All right, what else you got?
I think that'll be it.
Okay. Any other discussion at the table? Okay, so at this time, let's open up the introduction section for public comment. Again, we'll start in the room. Please identify yourself by raising your hand. We'll limit it to 3 minutes each, just like we have been. And same thing is state your name and generally where you live, no details. You're smiling. Are you up first? Okay. Anyone with a comment? I see none in the room, so we'll go to Zoom land. These are comments referencing the draft introduction section to the Mason County Comprehensive Plan. If you're in the Zoom room and you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand and we'll acknowledge you. Anyone in the Zoom room? It looks pretty silent in the Zoom room also. All right, thank you. One last round, both Zoom room and live. I see no hands. We'll close public comment. All right. Is this for decision tonight? Nope. Okay. I think we have just one real comment, and that would be on page 6 under the section titled Planning Advisory Commission. In the first sentence, the Planning Advisory Commission is responsible for reviewing an updated draft, and delete the words "and presenting" of the comp plan to the BOCC and public. Anyway.
No, that
Sounds
makes
good
sense
to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay. Cool. With that, I believe we are at the end of the agenda. Is there any other discussion with regards to any future agenda or anything? I think so nothing at the table.
I'll make a
So-
motion to adjourn.
Well, I'm, if I may, just because we do have him here in the room, and this is the first time we've had a commissioner in the room in over a year. Mr. Tarswell, is there anything you would like to say?
Not really. You need to come up here.
No,
You want me
you're
to
good.
come up here?
You're good right where you're at. You're wherever you want.
All right.
I'm just, I'm here to listen. It's, good. Watching out for the budget, I'm spending the people's money, so I want to hear from what the people have to say.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Oh, my